Well, hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Well, welcome back. So it's a chilly day here in Arizona. Kind of that's why I'm gray on gray. But I'm happy to be here with you today. It's still sunny, and if you sit in the sun long enough, you'll feel like it's hot anyway. So I've got just a couple of odd random rambles for you today. I'm gonna chat a little bit about what we're eating because we've had some changes with that, so our menu's changed up. And I'm of course gonna talk a little bit about Outlander coming up. And I've also kind of had this, and I'm kind of going in reverse or no particular order, but I've come to notice recently that I've had 3 just belly laugh, almost wet myself laughing moments. And they're laughing moments that I haven't had in a long time. So I'm excited to chat with you about that, and maybe you'll get a laugh out of that. So maybe we'll start with Outlander. Okay, so today's the 4th, so we have 12 days until Outlander comes out. I can't even watch any of the previews or the trailers on Instagram without tearing up. Like, what a freak. And then I'm constantly like thinking about when the book's gonna come out, because it's like, it's going to be exciting to see what Starz does with the rest of the story, but I've already read all the books, so now I also want to know what's going to happen next. And I get nervous because the name of the next book is Tell the Bees I've Gone, so I'm like, is one of Claire or Jamie going to die? But then some people are saying that she's already working on a 10th book. But then, I don't know, it's just like thinking about a life going on that you don't know what's going on anymore. It's weird how books get you. So, I'm pumped about Outlander. I'm not so excited about having to wait every week for the next one to come out. I don't know if that's how Starz does it, because I originally watched it on Netflix, because I would definitely like to just consume it all at once and then probably like rewatch it. But if I have to wait week by week, I guess I'll have to struggle through that. Okay, so the reason why, I guess I'll save the laughs for last, because part of one of the laughs has to do with our menu, so that'll kind of lead me into that. Okay, so my husband had done some tests recently because he's been just having multiple things go on, and thankfully, probably the biggest thing that we're facing is getting his cholesterol down. And you know, kind of from our menus that we already include a lot of plant-based meals, but the research that we did really points to, you know, especially for him, having as many plant-based foods as possible, decreasing the amount of red meats and you know, fats and stuff like that, bad fats, is going to be essential for him. And we really want to take care of this high cholesterol from a nutritional standpoint, which is doctor recommended right now. He's not talking about any kind of medication, more diet and exercise. So last week started out pretty simple. You know, I made up a big pot of pinto beans, and we had like a huge harvest of mustard greens out of the yard. And my mom, now this is not healthy, but she fried potatoes, and we had cornbread, and then I used some of those beans for tostadas the next night. I don't really remember what went on the rest of the week because we had a drama situation with one of the girls, but when I went to make this week's menu up, I really like dove into some things that we've never even had before. So I think I could be safe to say that almost everything that we had last week is something that we've had before. We had kind of a special spaghetti on the menu one night, but that was the night that we had all this blah, blah, blah go on. So I think we just ended up going and getting a sauce in a jar instead of making it from scratch to make it faster and easier. So this week I got out, and if you've ever looked at this cookbook, it can be pretty foul with the words that they use, but a nutritionist I know recommended it to me a while ago. So I got these 2 recipes, out of Thug Kitchen, and that's what kind of started our week out, because on Sunday we just had like a veggie tray, and we made some Nathan's hot dogs, and my husband, it was kind of his final cheat day, if you will. So that's what we did on Sunday. But then last night we had a cauliflower cream pasta that's also got spinach in it, but otherwise it doesn't have any kind of dairy in it, no kinds of cheeses in it. Kind of the cauliflower makes the cream. Tonight we're having roasted chickpea and broccoli burritos, and on Wednesday we're having like a bean and quinoa enchilada bake. We've had that before, but I've started substituting pinto beans for the double can of black beans that it calls for. And then on Thursday we're having broccolini and penne with red pepper and goat cheese. On Friday, I'm kind of leaving Friday and the weekends open a little bit so the kids can kind of still experience some things. Like we might get pizza for the kids on Friday, but kind of like the leftovers that have come through the week, or we've made overflow of something. That's kind of what my husband's been doing on Fridays when the kids are having, you know, just some meat or some pizza or something that, you know, they can have and be okay, and but that he needs to be avoiding right now. So first up with the recipe last night of the cauliflower cream pasta. Now Mondays are pretty busy for me because that's when I do my garden video, so I don't get as much time in the kitchen as I do some of the other days of the week, but I really should have been in the kitchen. But I mean, I want to say I should have been in the kitchen because especially with vegetarian or plant-based meals, you really have to get a lot of seasoning and flavor in there sometimes to make something convey, especially with something like cauliflower. Well, I noticed that it called for on the list miso paste, but it also had an asterisk that said, or what you use to make a soup. And we had miso paste. Now the miso paste had been in the pantry for maybe a year. I don't know exactly, but I did look it up and it said that for the most part it should be fine in a dark pantry. So my son had this concoction going in the blender that really should have been going with the cauliflower all at the same time, but that concoction is what had the miso paste in it. So we've got the spaghetti. It's when the spaghetti was done, you're supposed to stir in the raw spinach. So that's sitting over to the side. Now we're combining the cauliflower, and he starts to pour in this stuff, you know, that I guess is supposed to be where all the flavor's at, and it's just like this rancid smell comes into the room. And I'm really the only person that notices it. It's like miso gone wrong, okay? It's like if miso got a nauseous stomach and regurgitated miso, that's what this smelled like. And I tasted it, and it tasted just like it smelled. I tried to season it. I garlicked it. I salt and peppered. I'm not even trying to use salt right now because of my husband. And then I decide, because I've got like 2 5-gallon buckets of lemons in the, just like in the kind of moving around the kitchen in the breakfast area, if you will, from the lemon tree harvest out here. So I cut open a lemon, I squeezed a bunch of that in it with just kind of like tanged up the tartness of it. And I called my husband outside and I was like, man, I don't know what to do. I mean, that's the worst meal that we've ever cooked in this kitchen. And I just don't know how I'm going to make it through. He's like, well, just, you know, make a small bowl of it. And I named off all these other things that were in the house that anybody who did not want to eat this could eat. And so we get to the table, and I've just made myself a small portion. I tried to not put so much on the girls' plates. And we'd forgotten to make the garlic bread, and it was gonna take an extra 10-15 minutes. But that pasta dish was so bad, I was like, yes, make the bread as some way to like buffer the situation of these people having to sit down and eat this. And so we usually plate the girls first, but that doesn't mean they start eating as soon as they get to the table. So we plate them, I'm plated, I sit down, and then my husband, the boys file in, my mom's the last one to the table. Now, the littlest one, she sits beside me and she's always just talking. So she's had a bite of bread and I've like had a couple of bites of pasta, and I've watched Maisie, my older daughter, like take a bite, and she doesn't really make a face, but she just starts eating some more garlic bread. Now the little one over here still just has not stopped talking long enough to take a bite. And I've watched her twist up spaghetti on her fork like more than once. So I'm watching her, because I've told her a couple seconds before that, come on, you need to start eating. And so she takes that bite that she's twisted up on her fork and she pops it in her mouth, and like her just whole facial everything just changed. And she looked at me, and it's like when she looked at me, I didn't have any words. I just busted out laughing so hard, which made her start laughing and made my daughter start laughing. And it's like the three of us all kind of had this psychic moment where she knows why I'm laughing and she knows why I'm laughing, but nobody else at the table is really talking about how bad this food tastes. And now at this point, my mom is starting to taste it. And at first she's trying to like hold back all of her canny old Southern woman stuff, but then she makes one comment and my husband passes her the salt, and then she's just like, just making sounds, but trying so hard not to let it out. So now looking back on it, if you Google does miso go bad, it says if it doesn't smell right, it's bad. But I was already all in the ingredients before I knew that it was bad. So there's nothing we could have done at this point except for maybe not pour that into all of our pasta. We could have filled that up with butter and garlic and probably still tasted great with just the spinach in it. But that kind of belly laugh that went on there at the table is something that is returned to me. I don't think I realized until like on Saturday when the first one happened that I just really haven't been laughing like this, and I miss it, and I miss the way that my entire body can just get overwhelmed by something that I think is funny. And so I'm so excited to have this giggle and this laugh back in my heart, because I try to tell y'all about how consumed I've become with not making mistakes and making everything perfect and trying to do everything right all the time. And because of that, I stay just tensed up a lot of times, and I don't let myself enjoy much. So before the tears start dripping, let me tell you about Saturday, okay? So this is when the first one happens. And my husband and I are on the hunt for a juicer, I believe, because last year we juiced all of our lemons by hand, and well, mostly Noah did it, but I still knew that there was a more effective way. So we had to go to 3 stores. So anyhow, we're going down the road and this great big Dodge pickup, and it's not super raised up, but it's, you can definitely see it's a good step up into it. Dark window tints driving down, and it's got this decal in the back window that it's like this big. So it's this wide, but it's every bit of as tall as the window. And would you know that sticker said panty dropper? And I said it to my husband and he just started laughing, and we were getting up to a light. And just as we got to the light, I'm like, does he go over to his mom's house like that? How does he not get confronted by people driving around with this sticker on his window? And my husband's like, oh, well, I bet his mom got it for him, which took me into like my old Southern catty woman voice. And I was like, What dang, son, you went and got yourself a dang old penny dropper. And it just made me lose my mind. I started laughing so hard, it didn't feel like I breathed for 10 minutes. So I just, now, and that might not have been funny at all to you, but what it gave me pause for between last night and that, and then another crazy little thing that my littlest said last night, because kids say the darndest things. It was a reminder to me that we've got to listen to the little voices or the little feelings inside of us that let us know when we're getting to the other side of things. Because if you're like me, then it's easy to just keep listening to the nagging version of yourself that's in your head and that is just telling you all the time that things aren't as good enough or they aren't as good as they should be. That you got to listen to yourself when you get that notion that the tide is turned, because since I found that I just giggle so much more and I feel lighter, and I'm really excited about this next decade because I can just totally feel that everything is just going to be so much better. Just like each and every day and each and every way, my life is getting better and better and better. And I believe that yours is too. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to tell you about this laughing thing, is because I want you to remember to recognize when your life is getting better and better, because as you make those recognitions, it just unfolds and unfolds more goodness and greatness in your life. So I hope you had the best day ever, and I hope you are enjoying life right now. And until next time.